Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're doing well, watching at home or wherever you're watching from. We're going to get started here in just a second, but I wanted to make sure that the chat works properly. So if you're watching me right now live, let me know in the chat where you're watching from, and we'll make sure that the last part of the graphics that I want to show you today, we'll make sure that that works by displaying that on screen for you. So to get things kicked off here, we got Chris is watching from Iowa. Thanks for hanging out, man. I really appreciate it. We got one from Germany. Man, it's got to be what? Probably like 7 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock your time, something like that. I know you guys are several hours ahead. We've got Florida as well. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Oh, a few more. Cool. This thing it updates, every minute or so. So we got another Germany, we got Tennessee. Oh, Mark Cashman is here. Hey man, how's it going? From Washington. And then New Zealand again. Still the furthest place away from me, for sure. So to get started today, I thought that it would be fun to stay on the topic of like cheap and easy, accessible live streaming capabilities, and talk about how to make graphics both for your live event, but if you're leveraging virtual cameras or if you're leveraging something like the ATEM Mini that I'm streaming through you guys through right now, if you have hardware to be able to hook up your device as another monitor, you can even overlay these graphics using an ATEM Mini and push those into your Microsoft Teams meeting, your GoToMeeting, your Zoom, whatever meeting platform you're using, because things like the ATEM Mini, they work just as a webcam over USB-C. So no matter what you're doing, you can hopefully apply some of these graphics concepts to make yourself stand out a little bit more. So one of the ones that I'm going to show here, number 4, is what we're going to show on screen right now, the ability to do like topic overlays. So we're going to start with option number 1, and then I'm going to show you later on how I did that wipe that we just talked about using actually a free app and bringing it into OBS. But first I wanted to talk about PowerPoint. I'm primarily an Office 365 guy, so I want to use the tools that I have access to already, and one of those is Microsoft PowerPoint. And this is the first kind of foray that I've gotten into with just creating graphics. And if I get PowerPoint open here on my Mac, we'll check out how we can make a simple slide. These are going to be static graphics. And we can make like a lower third, just as an example, and then bring that into OBS and show how we can bring, your name and title on screen, take it back off the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out here with just a blank PowerPoint presentation, and double click that. And we start out here with just a white background. Well, in order to work with either the ATEM or with OBS, the easiest way that I've found is we can't have a transparent background in PowerPoint. Unfortunately, there's some other apps that I'll show you that you can export it with a transparent background. But for PowerPoint, we're going to want to right-click and format the background here. And then we're going to want to give it some type of color that we can then key out using the ATEM or using OBS. So if I go down here to more colors and I select a new color, I've actually already picked a good green to make a green screen. If you're curious, this is the color that I'm using right here. It's this 00F900. So that is what my H2R Graphics is set up for, which is how I'm bringing your guys' comments on. So that way I won't have to change any settings in OBS. So we're just going to go with that 00F900, set that to that green, and now we've got a green background. We can start building graphics on top of that. So I showed you in a Teams tip video how to make a custom background for Microsoft Teams. We added like a little title with your name on it, put a picture behind it, and then you kind of position yourself in the frame so that you fit with your graphics next to you. But if you moved your head, you would cover up your name. Well, by doing this, the graphics are going to be on top of you and a little bit easier to see. So we can start out by clicking Insert and just adding some simple text. So I can add my name here, type that in, and then add my title, like that. And then we can make that a little bit bigger. And in my environment, I'm kind of got some darkness down here in the bottom area, or I might be wearing a dark shirt. So I think I'll probably want to put something behind that to make it kind of stand out a little bit more like a flag. So we're going to insert, this time, a shape. And we want to put something behind there just to give it something to pop off of. So I'm going to right click and send that over to the back. And that's a little bit too similar of a color, so maybe we'll do a gray here. And you'll notice it has like a line around it. So I'm going to click the outline area, give it no outline at all. And I think that looks pretty good. If I wanted to like punch this out and not have it be black text, I could even do something a little bit fancier. So let's make my name bold, and then let's do on the color for this text, let's go here and select that recent color, so that green. And now what you'll see is it's actually going to punch that out whenever I get rid of all the green parts of this slide. So that's really simple. What we're going to do is we're just going to file and then export. And I want to get this out as a graphics file. So I'll select a PNG. I want it to be 1920 by 1080. That's the size of my frame that I've got. My camera set to 1080p. Microsoft Teams will max out currently at 720, but this will make me a little bit more future-proof. Let me type my password here, because apparently Snagit wants my keychain password. So I'm going to save that just to my Mac, and we're going to throw it over here on the desktop real quick. And I'm going to call this, pptname.png. And now if I hide that and bring up Finder, we've got ppt name right there. And to add this into OBS is extremely simple. All we're going to do is I'm going to go into studio mode so it doesn't make you too nauseous. And then on my camera scene right here, I can drag that image in and position it on the screen wherever I want it. So right here in Finder, I'll just grab this, drop it onto the screen like that. Because it's 1080p, it is the right size and the right aspect ratio, but I need to get rid of this green area. So it's the top layer, pptname.png. If I go into filters, we're going to add what's called a chroma key. And by default, it already is looking for green. So I don't have to even adjust anything here to make that my graphic. And now if I hide this graphic here by clicking the little eyeball, zoom in here, click that little eyeball icon, that will hide it. And then we're going to transition over to this. So now you're looking at me full screen. If I just, again, click the little eyeball, now that pops up on my screen and you can see that come in. I use the move transition, so it kind of animated a little bit weird, but you could have it fade on screen, you could have it just pop on screen. And you'll notice behind me, with this hand, behind me that color is actually even punched out of there. So you can see, you can add a little bit of like transparency or the effect of transparency by cutting out that green color even as the text, which is pretty cool. So that's the first one that I wanted to show you. Is in PowerPoint, you have the ability to just go in here, and this is your canvas. You can add whatever graphics you want onto it. If I wanted to add a little logo in the upper corner, that's called a bug. So you could add your logo in the corner, top or bottom, wherever you want it, and then you could leave that as like an overlay on your camera. But basically make the background green, and then you key that out. Now, I can do the same thing with the ATEM Mini. let's bring the ATEM Mini up on screen real quick and show you how to add that effect without using OBS. So let's get my ATEM Mini control software up. If you happen to have one of these ATEM Mini boxes that has multiple inputs, so you could bring your camera or your laptop in as another source. HDMI 4 is what's pre-programmed as the default for the green screen key effect. But what you can also do is you can add to the media pool any image that you create. So if I grab this picture and I add that into the media pool, that is keyed up, it's primed and ready to go. So you guys are watching me through the camera right now. If I press the button on my ATEM Mini for the word still, you just see the still image. You see what came up in that effect. Go back to number 1, that's my camera. I'm gonna turn off the thing. So it's just my camera that right here under the screen. That guy is keyed up and ready to go under the media pool. So if I press the key button right here on my ATEM Mini without adjusting anything else, I have it set, it will add, whoops, it would go to HDMI number 4 so you don't see anything. So what we've got to do in the ATEM software is under the upstream key, this is like layers, you've got your upstream key, that gets generated first or rendered first. Then you've got your downstream key after that, because you can add like a couple layers here. In the upstream key, you've got your chroma. And instead of that input, which is input number 4, I called it H2R Graphics. Instead, I want that to be media player 1 is my fill source. Now, if I press the key button, you should see that, whoops, you should see that that came on screen just like that. So that's another way that you now can have that in hardware in this box that I've got on my desk, and then that could be just my webcam in Microsoft Teams. I don't even need a virtual camera to do something like that. Now, if I wanted to have like a fade effect, I believe if I press the, let's go back to the screen here. If I go down here a little bit into transition and mix, then I believe it's this button here is going to key it. No, that would be my downstream key. We'll turn that off. Somewhere in here when I was like playing with this earlier, I was able to fade that onto the screen, but you could do that with macros as well, where you could move the T-bar to kind of fade that onto the screen like that. If I hit, maybe it's the auto, there we go. If I hit the auto button, then that fades on and off the screen. And you could create a macro where you select the key, you add it to the media pool to the right slot, and then you hit that auto button. And then you could have a button on a Stream Deck where you could just hit a button to do that, or you could execute it using the macros button on the ATEM Mini. That kind of shows you a little bit about how to add static graphics. The problem with the ATEM is that the Mini version only has static graphics. If you want to play back a video and have like a motion graphics, you can do that, but you need what's called a hyperdeck by Blackmagic Design. Those are a couple $100 from Blackmagic, or you can actually emulate one with a Raspberry Pi, but you would load up your motion graphics files, your little videos, in there as a hyperdeck, key out the green, and then you could have motion on screen as well if you want to get really advanced with it. So before we move on to the next one, we got a couple more people have joined us. We got the Intrazone has entered the chat. So I wonder if Mark is still watching. So Mark's here to learn some video tricks. Vlad is watching. Thanks a lot for hanging out, Vlad. Vlad interviewed me and Christina Torok. I found this video like a couple weeks ago back on the SharePoint conference YouTube channel that we were on Vlad's show talking about Microsoft Stream. Yeah, Mark, I think there probably is a lot of a lot of these just like placeholder images on my desktop over time. I like to keep my desktop really, really clean. So you'll notice like my desktop folder really only has these demos, and then I'm going to delete them right away because I hate having icons on my desktop. Dwayne says that the plugin is great. I use the move transition a lot. It's really, really cool in OBS. Mark's bringing the puns. I haven't read Ready Player 2 yet, but I really liked Ready Player 1. Okay, so we're going to hide those. And the next app that I want to talk about is not really an app, it's a website. And that's a website that you can use for free for a limited basis, and that's called Snappa. And this is how I actually create most of my thumbnails for my YouTube videos is through the Snappa website. So if I go hide these things out of the way, whoops, hit the wrong button. Because I'm doing these graphics here a little bit strangely, I have to like hit 2 buttons to get rid of that one graphic. So let's bring up a new window here. Nice cactus window. You guys can probably hear my 2-year-old screaming. He does not want to go down for a nap right now. But the website is called snappa.com. And this is a free graphics website where you can build graphics using royalty-free images, and they have a little, graphics editor, things like that. And this is what I use the little thumbnail to create my thumbnails for my videos. So I've got like one for YouTube live events, and then I can kind of change like what the text is here, kind of edit that. I can go to the background and I can find a new picture, or I can upload a picture that I took, and use that as like the backdrop. So one of the ways that you can use Snappa, though, is you can hit create graphic, and then I want to do just the same thing, a 1920 by 1080p image, and that gives me a blank slate, and we can do basically the same thing that we did with PowerPoint. So we can have our background, we can do just a color, click on this, and then we can choose a green, which I probably want a little bit like brighter of a green, so we can kind of drag this up to like that. And then same type of deal. Now I can add a shape onto here like this. We can drag this out. And this is nice because like you don't even need any software installed at all to do something like this. So we'll add like a little triangle here. Kind of like we can add a little like leading edge onto this guy if we want, make it look a little bit fancier, just like that. And I think, let me zoom in here a little bit on this. I don't know how to zoom in on this website. Let's see if this works. Well, I'll just zoom in Microsoft Edge. That is fine. Kind of make that a little bit smaller. Close enough. So we got like this little leading edge guy, and then I could do the same thing where I add some text onto it. Maybe add a heading with my name. I want to change that to white. Kind of a little classy look there. I could add a subheading. Also change that to white. Then put my title on there. Like that. Even like drag them over here more towards the side. Select both of these and kind of move that a little bit like that, and kind of build this flag out. And if I cared more, then I would just try to refine that line so that it actually matches up here. I'll go a little bit bigger. So just a little bit more. Whoops. Something like that. And then whenever you create your graphic, you can then hit share right here, not share, download in the upper corner right here in the very top. You can hit download, and then you can download that as a PNG, do the same thing where you place that graphic along the bottom. So I think what I'm going to do though is make a little, actually let's undo that. We're gonna have this up here on screen, and then I'm going to create like a little scrolling text across the bottom so that you can have like a news ticker or something like that show up on screen. So we're going to add another shape here, and we'll make this, you know, kind of small and skinny like that. Add a background to it. And now we're kind of creating an actual overlay with a little bit more information and text and things like that. So maybe for this, I don't want to have my name on here. I want to have a rounded rectangle. And with this, I've just got, honestly, these two shapes on screen. I could add a logo to it, something like that. Save out this whole thing by hitting download PNG, and then bring that in to OBS, and this becomes like a layout that then I can move my camera. I could kind of build out a scene that way. So I've run out of free downloads this month, so I'm actually just gonna screenshot this real quick, just like that. And then we're going to take that graphic here. Quit snag it because I don't want that out here. Whoops. And then, so I've got that on my desktop. There's the picture file is somewhere in here. Oh, I need to go get it again from Snagit. So let me get that open real quick and grab the picture. Just like that. Drag that onto my desktop, and there we go. So now back on my screen, I've got OBS coming here. We're going to go back into studio mode, and then back on my camera scene, I want to add that picture as an overlay. So now we're going to bring this in like that, and we can resize this, or we can right click on it and hit transform and then fit to screen, and it will just squish it down to the right size right there. And again, the same steps. We want to click on that source, hit filters, and then we want to apply a chroma key. And you'll see there's the chroma key. So I've got my little like frame in the upper corner, got this down below. I can play with these to kind of get it just to where the green line is starting to go away. I can kind of smooth that out a little bit like that. And you'll see that like it's even transparent on this side. You can see my hand behind that right there. And I like how that's looking right now. I've got a little bit of a white line, so I'm going to just crop that out just a little bit. We're going to stretch this side here so that it, you know, we don't have any like graphics going off the screen. And then now in OBS, because I also have the ability to add shapes and stuff like that, I can add a text box right here by clicking on a new source, add some text, and then I can talk about like talking points. And we can say like topic 1, topic 2, here is a small sentence. And we can add those as text and then make that smaller. I can go into the font and change the font. I could change the size of the font, things like that. But we're going to shrink this guy down a little bit. I definitely don't need 256, but maybe 64 would be better for me. Kind of make that a little bit bigger. I can even wrap this by going down here and forcing a word wrap and then a maximum width. So it will automatically do a carriage return over to the other side. But that makes it so that you've got an overlay, and then now you can just double click on this during your show to change the text if you want to. Another thing I could do is I could add a scrolling text across the bottom. So we could do text right here, and we're going to call this a ticker at the bottom. And we can put in, you know, thanks for watching, like that. And on this guy, I would want to obviously make that smaller as well, like this. And if I have enough text on screen, which I don't, maybe I should get some lorem ipsum text to make that a little bit wider. But what we can do is we can add a filter to that source, and on that we're going to call it scroll. So this is scrolling text. We want it to move side by side, or you could have it move vertically. I have one idea where, there we go. So just bring up that horizontal speed just like that, and then you click on the limit width, and that's where you kind of like play with the window a little bit to make it like 300 or something. You would make that width 1920 because that's the width of your monitor. And then if you had more text, you'd be able to grab this, stretch it out there, change the size of the font to be a little bit smaller, like, I don't know, 48 maybe. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then now, if I bring that on, then we'll hit transition. And now you've got scrolling text across the bottom that you can edit by just double clicking on that source, as well as you could have topics on screen. So you've built a graphical overlay, you've punched yourself out, and then you've added text onto the top of that using a free website called Snappa. The limitation with Snappa is that it's free up to 3 downloads per month. So you can create what you want, and then you can download 3 different graphics, but then you got to wait a month to get 3 more slots to open up. Otherwise, you can pay for a premium or a pro subscription and then get more downloads. So you could still also even do the same thing with this with PowerPoint if you wanted to as well. So I'm going to turn that source off because that is distracting. So we're going to get rid of the ticker, talking points, and the overlay. Now we're just back to our normal size right now. So Victory12 says, hey, how are you having the names with the comments and everything come up? That is the last one that I'm going to tell you about, number 5. It's a software that is totally free called H2R Graphics, and it ties into YouTube to read the comments. So I'm going to show you exactly how to set that one up here in a moment. So Daryl says, oh, you giving me an idea for live text while you stream? Daryl, one thing I've been thinking about doing is like taking OBS as a virtual camera into my Teams meeting. And I was thinking it'd be really funny to have a button on my Stream Deck where, like, when the meeting's wrapping up, I was thinking it'd be really funny to have text that vertically scrolls and have it be credits, so that like as everybody's like, hey, you know, thanks for attending, we'll see you guys next time, have a great weekend. If I click that button like 10 seconds before, then over my webcam, I would gray out and you'd start seeing like, you know, background noise provided by Finn Moore, background noise provided by Graham Moore, you know, scratching at the door provided by my cats, and have like vertical text scrolling, kind of roll credits at the end of all my meetings. You could do that with OBS and a virtual camera. You just got to set it, instead of horizontal scroll, to vertical scroll as well. And then now you could add credits to all of your Teams meetings if you want. I think that'd be kind of fun. Oh, the great tip by Dwayne. In Microsoft Word, you can do lorem and then get some random paragraphs that way. That's pretty handy, because usually what I do is I just open up an Edge browser, and then I just search for lorem ipsum text, and I get one of those generators. So this might be less steps for you. That's really cool. Nice. Yeah, I hope they all get royalties. They benefit, you know, indirectly from my salary, so that could be their payment. My kids, and especially my cat, are great talking points in all of my meetings, because usually I've got my 2-year-old like escapes from the other ones who are in like Zoom classes all day, and he comes down and starts beating on the door in all my meetings. Or I did a live event last week for like Teams tips and tricks and Teams basics, and I had a new cat. We got a new cat the day before, so he was like sequestered with me, hiding out away from our other cat because she was upset that he existed, and he was like climbing up my back the whole time, scratching the crap out of me, and it made for a really interesting live stream. There was like 150 Cerner associates watching me just get like clawed to death while I'm trying to teach them about Microsoft Teams meetings. Steven says Canva is also good for some of those downloads as well. So if I go back here, move OBS out of the way, Canva is another one that I've used, canva.com, where you can create these. And what I like about these websites is they've got like these nice formats. Like if you need to make a Twitter post, or if you need to make, you know, something that's going to ultimately go on Instagram or something, it like automatically squeezes and fits it right for you. You can have like a bunch of like different text and graphics already brought in. So you just change what the wording is and put that in. So those would be good for making pre-show and post-show graphics. Let me show you, actually, that is a point that I missed. Yeah, Mr. Gennady. So Mike Gennady, I guess, was talking about Canva. One thing I've gotten a couple questions about is, let me discard that, is back on PowerPoint, how did I make the that starting soon graphic? So if you guys came in early, I had a countdown timer, I had starting soon, where it was like the text was kind of moving. One of the concepts that I have is I like to go early, a couple minutes early, and I like to have a countdown timer. I like to have something moving on screen and some music playing. That way, everybody's doing my sound check for me. When they join, they know that the audio's working, and they don't ask like, are we starting soon? They know their video's working because they see something moving on the screen. And then I never ever get, am I late or when's this gonna start? I never get that stuff. So even in a Teams live event, I always recommend go early, have something showing on the screen and some type of music or something playing so that you don't get that question over and over again in the chat. But the way that I built that, like, we'll get started soon graphic is I created a 3D effect. There's a guy on YouTube, I'll grab his link and send it to you guys in the chat, but there's a guy on YouTube, I think it's in my OBS shared assets, lower thirds maybe, or oh, maybe where it is in my my videos folder. Videos, here's all my video assets and free music I've gotten, things like that. And trying to figure out where's those 3D text things. Let me open and search in SharePoint and OneDrive. So I think 3D is what I'm looking for. There it is, 3D tile screens. See, like, people talk about how, like, oh, I don't know if something's in my OneDrive or in my SharePoint, or, you know, which team is it in? This is what I do to find crap whenever I don't know where it's at. I just go in and start searching. Like, I don't know what the name of this file is, but I know that Kate Lomax sent it to me. So I type her name, shared with me, boom, there's that slide deck that she shared with me in a Teams chat weeks and weeks ago. I didn't have to ask for it again. I just do it all in PowerPoint or in Word in the local apps. It's super, super handy. So this is my little thing that I created using that YouTube video. So I'll have to try to remember how he did this, but under the format pane, he shows step by step under the text options how you can do 3D effects. So you add like a certain bevel onto it, a certain material type, and you can get this. What I did then is I animated this text to have like a little bit of a wiggle effect. So under like the animation pane, let's bring that up. I have the starting soon animation. What I'm doing is I have the teeter animation right there. And I have that going for duration 3 seconds, repeat 10 times, so it's 30 seconds. And it's just going to loop for me. And then what I did is, so if I go up here to full screen, you'll see it kind of like wiggling right there. It's just a subtle movement on screen. And what I did, it kind of like starts on one side and kind of like waves over and kind of just will get started soon. It's just barely moving, but you can see that like there's a video here. You're not looking at just a static screen. So what I did for that is I did file export, and under that I did it as an MP4, and I set it to 1080p, you know, the right thing. And then I exported that, and in OBS what I did is for the, let's go into studio mode and pre-show. For the starting soon video, I just told it to loop that video. So now you get that like little wiggling effect. Hey, we'll get started soon. That is up on screen. I've got a background color as well, and that has a filter on it. It has a color correction filter where I just dropped the opacity down 25% lower. So that's how you see me in the background kind of moving around. And then the starting soon countdown timer is just text. And I used under tools, scripts, I use a countdown timer where I say 1300 hours, so 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time. That's what I'm counting down to. So if I make this 1400 hours, then that would reset that timer over. And I don't think I want to go over to that transition because then you'll see. So that's what that looks like. It's got, you know, the we'll get started soon. It's kind of wiggling. You can see me in the background moving around. And then I've also got a countdown timer so you know when we're going to start. And then I try to actually, you know, start on time. But that's the other trick that I wanted to show you with PowerPoint is you can make motion graphics by doing an animation, allowing it to repeat. You could have it like fly across the screen, kind of move slowly and fly off the screen. And then you just export that as a video, put that into OBS, key out the background again, and then now you've got motion graphics as well. Yeah, on finding files, you don't have to know where it is, you just need to know what it is. And that's exactly, you know, I try to say the same thing to my users, which is like, don't stress too much about like having to go find the right location, just search for it and you know, it'll come up, you know. Just be on a, you know, somewhat of an educated guess, you know. Such a good idea with the welcome screens. Yeah, and you could do that in PowerPoint, Andy, and in a Teams live event, you could just share your screen, make that sucker full screen, make it repeat 100 times, and then now you've got wiggling text on the screen. You could even add an animated GIF of a 10-minute countdown timer. And now you got the countdown timer in the PowerPoint itself. So let me find those. I'm going to share 2 videos with you guys in the chat. So PowerPoint 3D text. This guy, here he is. So this guy, he is called the PowerPoint Club, and he is freaking awesome. So 3D PowerPoint text. This guy, he does like full-blown, high-end looking graphic design in PowerPoint using like all the tools that are built into PowerPoint. So I learned how to do the 3D text from him. The other one is, let's find her video here. So videos, Tracy Vanderschiff, she did one, here we go, lobby screen. So let me paste this in and do PowerPoint countdowns. So Tracy has a video on here for how she builds little countdown timers so that in the Teams meeting, I need to mute that, bring up on screen, so that in the Teams live event, she's got PowerPoint showing you, she's got the speaker right there. Hey, we're gonna get started soon, thanks for joining. She has the bubbles moving on screen because she's just doing animation in PowerPoint. So I would definitely check her video out. It's got 4,800 views on it. So very cool channel to subscribe to and follow along with what Tracy's doing. So yeah, PowerPoint has some amazing looping videos. I'm curious where those are, if they're built into PowerPoint now, like in a is there like insert pictures or something like that, or insert video maybe, because I don't think I've seen that on my Mac where I could like do a looping video. Maybe it's a PC feature. I'm borrowing that. Cool. Yeah, feel free. I love the 3D popped out text. I think that looks amazing. I can't believe that I was able to do it just in PowerPoint. You know, it's so much more powerful than you expect. So with that, let's go on to item number 3 here, which is using Camtasia for your motion graphics. So we're going to take the same concept of PowerPoint where we're just building out a slate, but we're going to do it in Camtasia. If you happen to have a copy of Camtasia, because like maybe you create tutorial videos, how-tos, you can basically do the same thing as what I was doing in PowerPoint, but Camtasia is a crazy easy tool to do animations if you want. So they even have a library of options that you can use. So let's go back over to my screen here, and I'm bringing up Camtasia. We're getting that open. Okay, keeps opening on my other screen. So I'm going to make a new project, and we're going to make some motion graphics using a Camtasia project with some very simple animation. So what I can do in my Camtasia, let me get rid of this dock, is again, we're going to make it a green screen because you can't export a video out of Camtasia with a transparent background. So there's no transparent bottom layer in Camtasia, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click and go to Project Settings. We're going to set this again to some type of green, like that. So we've got our green background. We're going to cut that out here whenever we're done. And then we're going to start building just a really simple annotation right here. So I've got just a box, you know, and I could say like, thanks for watching. And using a custom animation, I can have that fly onto the screen, and I can have it, you know, go away whenever I'm done with it. So we've got just a basic guy right here. I may pull that out. So this is going to be 5 seconds long. So I'm going to slide this out to like 10 seconds in length, like that. And then we're going to add an animation to it. So I can do animation, and I'm going to have a behavior. I want it to do something on screen while it's on screen and then animate itself out. So I'm going to add an animation, just custom animation. And what you get is, I'm going to zoom in here on this timeline, get rid of my dock. What we've got is the start point and the end point. My timeline is set to my end point, that red dot right there. So I want the end point to be that. I want my starting point, though, if I click on the first dot, I want to click on this, hold down my shift key, and bring that off screen all the way like that. And then that's going to animate onto the screen, you know, real nice and easy. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of like make that a little bit bigger. So you can add more custom animations to this. So we'll kind of make that, I don't know, a bigger box like that. And then what we'll do is we'll add another custom animation at the end right here to have it go off the screen like that. And then in the middle, I want to add some type of a behavior to this. So maybe what we'll do is pulsating. We'll add pulsating to it. And then I don't want anything on the in, and I don't want anything on the out. What I have is pulsating both ends. Just, yeah, we'll just see what that looks like. So I'll hit play, and then this would animate in, pop in, thanks for watching, get bigger. I mean, that's not super exciting. And then whenever it's done, it flies off the screen right there. So what we would do is we would take that, export that to a local file. and then go to my desktop and we'll say Camtasia pop-up, and we're exporting that as a video. It's going to take, probably 15 seconds or 10 seconds, something like that. It renders pretty quickly. And then we'll reveal that in Finder, and again, we're going to drag that onto the screen. So I've got my Camtasia pop-up MP4. I go into studio mode, go back to the camera, and then we're going to drag that onto the screen right here. And now I've got this video playback where I could loop it if I wanted to, but at the end, I do want to restart it when it comes active, and I don't want to show anything whenever it ends, just get rid of it. So we got that. I need to add a filter onto it though, because if I animate this out, let me transition this. If I animate this out, all you're seeing is the green. So what we need to do is we need to go back into filters. Again, we're going to chroma key that out. There we go. It's just a green chroma key. And now if I transition over, you'll see that it pops on. Thanks for watching. It animates on the screen. It got bigger and it kind of like slides its way off. Now, that was a little bit too long, but you could have it pop up, follow me on Instagram. You could do things from the bottom. You could have scrolling text again, but embedded in a video that you show on there. So that was kind of lame of an example. What I want to show you next is in Camtasia, you have the ability to get stuff out of the library. So we started out this whole thing with a lower third, your name and your title. And in PowerPoint, it was just, it came on screen, it went off screen, it wasn't very exciting. But in the library for Camtasia, you've got some lower thirds available to you in this library. So I'll double click on one of these, and you can see how that will come out like that. After a few seconds, it will go back away. And you can do some cool stuff. So let's grab TechSmith. So you've got that comes down. And yeah, maybe I'll grab this one because it has like a logo. So you could add like your company logo onto it. And now that animates on the screen. And because this is a asset from Camtasia, you'll notice that that I can change the text on here. So I could do like John Moore, and I can change out the logo by hitting the little X right here. And now I can import the file. If I go into my my app icons, maybe what I do is I grab like the SharePoint icon right here, a positive format, grab that. There's the new SharePoint, PNG file. And now I've got that. I want to change the background to like more of a green, or let me use the picker and we'll use that green color. And as I scroll in, that's going to now have that animate on screen and then go away and pop out. So let's export that as a local file and call this SharePoint LT for lower third. Save that to my desktop. It's going to render out really fast because it's only 11 seconds long. So that is done rendering. We're going to show that in Finder, get rid of Camtasia. And then now in OBS, we're going to, I want to get rid of a few of these examples first. Let's get rid of those. And then from Finder, let's grab the SharePoint LT, drop that on the screen. Again, we're going to filter this out by going into chroma key right there. It's a green chroma key. And in my settings, I don't want to loop it. I want it to start over whenever I come back onto this scene, and then I don't want it to show anything at the end. So I've done this in the past where, get out of studio mode, move this out of the way. I've done this in the past where whenever you change the scene now, when I go from screen to camera, it's going to automatically play that graphic. So it's going to come up on screen and it looks like that. So that's a little bit wonky. It's like transparent. So let's adjust the filter, and you guys aren't going to see this, but I'm going to adjust the filter so that that is available, and see how that's like now it's starting to show that kind of lime green look. So I'm gonna take out the similarity, hit that, and then now if I go to screen, then back to camera, it's gonna animate that on the screen. You see, hey, John Moore, he's representing SharePoint, and after like 10 seconds, it will animate away, and then there we go. And if I go off that scene and back on, it comes back on with the name and goes away because I set it to restart after when the scene becomes active. So that's a way that you can kind of go back and forth, and every time you go to full screen you or full screen guest, you have their name pop up on screen and animate and go away. And I just used Camtasia, which I already use for my day job doing tutorial videos. So let's look at some comments here again. You can get looping videos from design ideas. They're now included in the insert video stock videos menu. So let's see if I can find that in PowerPoint real quick. So insert video stock videos menu. Yeah, I don't have that on the Mac. I wonder, design ideas. Yeah, I mean, there's some cooler backgrounds there, which look nice. Yeah, I bet this is just a PC thing. I'll have to check that out on the PC, Dwayne, and see if I can find those looping videos. Daryl says, try changing the font size on your second custom animation. Oh, yeah, was it a little bit too small for you there, Daryl? You can certainly do that. So like that was a little bit too small. Let me bring my screen back up. So if that was a little bit too small, you could click on this and change some of those things. So if I double click into it, now this is the little group. So I could even select this text and then put like lead technology architect like that in there. And I can make this whole thing bigger if I want. Kind of move it in there like that. I could make the top part bold, I think. I may have to like split it up into two parts. No, I can do that. And then now you've got, a more bold name, and then it goes away. So yeah, you could also adjust the text there. I could also make that SharePoint icon bigger if I wanted to, just like that, kind of bring the scale up. And then now it would be a little bit more pronounced in there like that. So perfect. Let me get rid of this graphic. So Michael says, how do you get the circular picture-in-picture live? I can do that in Camtasia as a mask, but not live. So are you talking about this, where it's like a picture-in-picture in the lower corner? The way that I'm doing that is, let me go back into studio mode, is I've got my full screen camera right here, just wide screen, normal looking. Then in the screen one where I've got this little circle down here, I have a group that is called Circle Camera. And it's my same camera, my little like graphics or my Blackmagic design camera. But what I'm doing is I have a filter on the group. So I put it, just one item inside of a group in OBS. And under filters, I have an image mask. What I did is I got this circle mask PNG file. So what that is I went into PowerPoint. I just did a circle, a perfect circle, and I made it green. And then actually I did this in Affinity Designer because I had a transparent background. So transparent background, just a giant green dot in the middle of the screen. And then I exported that picture and I made it an image mask using an alpha channel. So all of the transparent stuff is cut out. The only thing where there was a color is what's remains right there. And then I use the move transition to animate between those two. And I told the move transition, if I go into properties here, I told the move transition to, for something that's appearing, to come in from the center and then disappearing, come in from the center. What I did is matched items right here. If the name is in the source name, so because the name of my camera is ATEM Mini, I had to have the source, the group name be ATEM mini-circle. So it has the same name as a component. And then now what happens is whenever I go between those two, as it's moving up into that position, what it's doing is it's actually swapping out the camera feed. And there's just a subtle fade between the two. So if you look really closely, you can kind of see it disappear with a fade, but it's just fast enough that I think it looks good enough to have that. But that's what I did for getting a circle. On the ATEM Mini, if you happen to have an ATEM, what you can do is whenever you're doing your your key, and if you've got like a chroma key or a DVE actually, then what you would have is that's your picture-in-picture. And what you would do is you would do a mask on it, which is, sorry, it's kind of hard to see this. Somewhere in here. Maybe it's a Luma. One of these. There's a pattern for the key. So what you could do is you can set that pattern, maybe it is DVE, to be a circle or or like a diamond or a triangle. You can select the shape for that. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube for how to do that. And then when you click the picture-in-picture, you would be a circle or you would be inside of a square. And then that whole thing is coming into your Microsoft Teams client as a webcam. You don't need OBS to do that with the ATEM. Yeah, mask filter on my camera source. And then the secret to that, Daryl, was that I just put it inside of a group by itself. Yeah. So on the ATEM, I would look at a guy. His name is Aaron Parecki, and he does a circle picture-in-picture on his ATEM. Let me find his video real quick and put that in the chat for you guys because it is very valuable. So YouTube, Aaron Parecki, circle. There it is. Okay. So circle pip using ATEM Mini. So there's a video for you, Michael. Watch that video, and he's got how he makes a circle picture-in-picture, and it's hard-coded to a button on the ATEM Mini that way. I think he uses a macro for that, I believe, to do all the settings for it. Okay, so option number, we've gone through PowerPoint, Snappa, Camtasia. The next one is Keynote. So if you're a Mac user like I am, you can get Apple Keynote for free. And the difference between using Keynote versus using PowerPoint is Keynote has the ability to have a transparent slide background, and you can export that as a video with transparency. So you can do the like the animation, everything like you did with Camtasia, but instead of buying $300 Camtasia, you can do it in Keynote for free with transparency. So it's even a little bit more powerful than Camtasia for that one need. So the guy that I want to share for that is Bradley Teaches. So this guy, he does primarily Keynote videos. They're using Keynote to make motion graphics and to make live stream graphics. He did a video a little while back, and that's how I'm bringing up these here, is using Keynote to make a transparent background topic overlay. So that was this video right here. Yeah, easy topic overlays. Copy link and topic overlay. There's the link for that video. Hopefully you guys are adding these all to your watch later videos. So to go back to the screen and show you how we do that, I'm going to open up this Keynote file where it's motion graphics. And I I didn't do it very creatively because like he shows step by step how to make this thing. I used his colors. I used every setting that Bradley used. So it's not the most creative alternative to it, but I just wanted to like test this out. And basically, it's 3 slides, and your first slide has a picture that you add, and you add this like leading edge to it, and you combine that with a line, and then you move it off screen, and you have your text at different levels, so they animate in at different speeds, and it looks a little bit cooler that way. And then you have your next scene, your next slide, which is the hold slide. So it sits here for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then it animates back the way it came. And what you're doing is you're using the motion, the magic movie transition inside of Keynote. You're doing that to kind of ease that in and ease that back out by having it transition the slides automatically. The trick to this was he had on the background, so format, on the background, there was no fill for the background. So you select no fill, that makes it transparent. And then whenever you do file export to movie, you want to select that it's a movie. You want it to be 1080p, 30 frames per second, and then Apple ProRes 444. That allows you to export with transparent background. And now I didn't even have to do any green screen effect on that. It was already transparent. It was already see-through for me. And I went through each of these slides, and I just changed option number whatever to the name. And then that's how I was able to click a button to just turn that source on. It comes on, it fades off. I turn that source back off. Then the next little chapter in this live stream, I turn that on, I turn that back off. So to show you what that looks like in OBS, to actually bring that motion graphic in, under my camera, you see I've got H2R.movie, I've got Keynote.move, Camtasia.move. What those are is I've got a local file, there's the export from Keynote. I'm not looping it, I'm restarting when it comes active. So if it's available, when I cut over to that scene, it comes on screen for me. And then show nothing, and then I also have it like close the file so it's not taking up space and stuff. If you close the file when it's inactive, that allows you to swap out that file when you're not on that scene. So because it's closed that file, you could then swap out topic number 2, topic number 3. If you're producing and someone else is presenting, you could cut the file out, and then you've got a source that just says topic. And because you in the background moved that file out of the way and put the next topic on, when you cut over to that scene, it will just animate topic number 3, topic number 4. So that's how I'm doing that. And then whenever it becomes active, it animates on the screen like that. It comes on screen, the little bar comes down, and then it goes back up and just slides off. And that's slide number 3. So slide number 1 into slide number 2 is the slide in, and then slide number 3 is the slide back out. And that's all using the built-in magic move stuff with Keynote. I would probably do that with PowerPoint if I had transparent backgrounds and the ability to export using the alpha channels, having transparent video whenever I export. If I had those, I probably would do it in PowerPoint just because I'm more familiar with that. I had to download Keynote like 2 or 3 days ago to learn how to do that from Bradley, because I thought that would be a great way to kind of transition from one of these apps to the next and explain how that works. So, oh, thanks again, Daryl. I appreciate your watching me and hanging out. Still blows my mind. It's Saturday morning for you. This is Friday afternoon for me. I appreciate you sticking around, Daryl. So, Michael, you're welcome for all the links. Thanks for watching it. I'm not seeing the links in the chat. Stephen, if you're not seeing the links in the chat, I don't know if maybe YouTube doesn't allow me to send links. What I will do, I will grab these links, and when I stop being live, I will go to the description of the video. I'll paste them in the description. So whenever we're done being live, if you come back like a little bit later on and open up the video again, I'll put the links in the description below so that you can watch all those other YouTube videos. Thanks for letting me know though that you weren't seeing it. Yeah, I wish I could use the morph transition with a transparent background. If we could have a transparent background, I could do so much more with just using PowerPoint, not have to kind of retrain my brain to using Keynote. In college, I was a big fan of Keynote because that's what I use all the time. Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate you watching. OBS does a lot of crazy cool stuff. It's a little bit complicated, but the way that I view it is like I sit down with people who have never touched OBS at Cerner, and in about 30 minutes I can get them up and running with basic stuff. And I'm like, it looks like it's going to be hard. It feels like it's going to be hard, but it feels like the same thing as if you ever made your first VLOOKUP in Excel. You had to find a YouTube video, you had to figure it out. And it wasn't necessarily hard, it was just new. That's how I view OBS, is like it's not really hard, it's just different. It's a muscle that you haven't exercised yet. So yeah, I encourage you to stick with OBS and keep checking it out. It's amazing what you can do with just a free tool like that. Sure. Cool, Stephen. Thanks for acknowledging that. I will get those links for you. No problem. So moving on, the last one, which was asked about, is H2R Graphics. So this is the one that I personally like the most because I can edit it on the fly. I can interact with you guys using the chat, and I can change things during the show without getting into PowerPoint, getting into something else that has a lot of overhead. And it has the green screen built into it, and it's just a source in my OBS as an overlay. So no matter what scene I'm on, I can click a button off screen, I can program my Stream Deck to it, and then that way I just have a little bit more dynamic use case with H2R Graphics. So back over to the screen pip. Let's bring up this and show you guys how to get H2R Graphics. This is from a guy named John Barker, and he has a channel called Here to Record on YouTube. It's a much larger channel. It's fantastic what he shows off, and he really has inspired me to like show and tell what I've learned, because like I'm just learning this stuff by like walking into a conference room, piling out a bunch of like gear and trying to figure out how to stream it to a Microsoft platform. And he was doing that and going through with a camera and showing how he set everything up. And I really appreciated that. I really liked it. So I decided, well, I'll do the same thing. I'll get everything set up and I'll go and I'll show, how I plugged everything into this weird conference room that I had to walk into to do a live event. What he's done though is he's created some graphics, because he's also a master developer who can do amazing stuff with software. And his H2R Graphics software is in heretorecord.com/graphics, and it's available for Mac and for Windows. It runs on your computer, and it allows you to do all of these different things. All of these different things inside of a single app with the press of a button. You also can communicate with this application using OSC, so network commands, to press one of these buttons with a physical button. You can press the software button as well. By sending it commands, you can send it parameters to do what you want it to do. So I'll show you what this looks like on my screen. This is the application. So you download this, you install it on your Mac or your PC, and you have all of those elements as tabs across the top. So what I do, and I'm gonna mess up my OBS so that I can show you guys how this works. What you do is you click the Chroma button right here. When you click that, it will bring up this window on your screen called Chroma. And then whenever let me turn off the scene in OBS. whenever you select one of these and you type your name and your title, so you've got line 1, line 2, when you hit show, you've got that. So I can have, you know, first, last, CEO, Contoso, and then I can hit show. That comes up with whatever text I wanted. It animates on screen. If I click the options right here, it will sit there for 30 seconds and then animate back off the screen. So I can set that to 5,000 milliseconds, hide it, and then show it again. And now it's going to show for 5 seconds, automatically go away without me touching anything. So you can load up all of your guests right here, and then it's just guest number 1, guest number 2, guest number 3. You click the show button for that. So that's the lower third. You can also have it animate in from the right instead of from the left. So if you want to be on that side. So if you got 2 people on screen, you could have person number 1, person number 2, and they'll come from opposite sides. So you could have like one guy here, and show them at the same time if you want to. And then hide either one of them or click the hide button. They both go away. It's amazing. You also could use CSS to change the name, color, all of this. You can adjust the size. Where you want it vertically on the screen is the vertical offset. The second thing you can do is you can have a title, and then you can add ticker items to this for like your news items. You've got a title and then like a little description. And if you hit show, it comes up from the bottom, and now you've got like, you know, breaking news. Instead of hello world, you could have it be breaking news, and then it could be like article 1, hey, here's some detail of this story. And then article 2, oh my gosh, this is really breaking news. Article 3, even more details are emerging. We can get rid of these other 2. So in the midst of like, oh, we got to show this on screen, we got to like add some more news stories to this. I click show, and now it's going to do that across the bottom, scroll, look incredibly professional. And under options, I can, maybe that's going too fast. I can, I think here, speed. I could do slow. I can slow it down. I can go super slow, hide, and show it, and now it's even slower. Or I can go even faster if I want. So I may do slow, and then there we go. So it's a little bit faster than what the super slow was. But now, like, that's how you can add that, and they're not even exclusive. So I can still bring my name on screen and have the ticker across the bottom. It's insane. It's so easy to use. I'm gonna get rid of that. The other thing I can do is countdown timers. So if you don't want to do a countdown timer in OBS, you can also have a countdown timer right here. Countdown to a specific time of the day, count down to 0, so 10 minutes down to 0. You can count up like a stopwatch, or like current time of day, like what time is it right now? It's 2:13 p.m. And then you can decide whether you want to show the seconds or the fractions of a second. So look at that. It even shows that. And you can do like a pre-timer message. So if I do a time of day, 2200, count down 7 hours, I can say, we'll get started soon, hit show, and now I've got that text on there. And now I've got a countdown timer in the middle of my screen. If I want to, I can move it right here, I can move it down, move it over like that, and then now I've got that in the bottom corner. I throw my PowerPoint, we'll get started soon slide with my graphics and pretty, you know, picture of the building or something with a countdown timer that's live. And that's the timer. The logo, you can load in your logo. I've got my company's logo right here. And now you've got a bug. If you hit options, you can move that down to like the lower right, like that, if you want a lower bug, or if you want a top bug. I like to put it in the top right because I bring this in sometimes when I want me on screen and I want the bug in the upper corner in my Teams meeting. So that's the logo. The message, this would be like, oh no, you know, the crap has hit the fan. I need to throw some text on the screen. You can take any text you want and then hit show. And you can change how that looks. If you want it to fade instead of wipe, you can hide it. And then you can have it fade on screen if you want to. Again, you can adjust the look of it using custom CSS. The break is a little bit more difficult to use. I've gotten it working, but it uses a Google Sheet. And what it does is you can have timings. So this speaker is going to talk about this topic from this time to that time. And you load your agenda into a Google Sheet. You paste in the ID for it. And then when you hit show, what it will do is it will, let's use this template here real quick. So I'm going to grab the URL for that and pop that in and hit refresh. Now it loaded in like when things are going to happen in your show. And if you hit show, let me get rid of the message. If you hit your show, then let me not autoplay it. You can have that like welcome to our conference, and then at 9 o'clock, it will automatically show like John B is here, is going to be talking about this. It will even do a countdown timer as you approach that time. Coming up will turn into a countdown timer. And if you add their picture, like if you take an image URL in Google Drive or Google Sheets, it will put their picture right here next to their title, like that. There's an example of it. So you can have that where like, all right, guys, we're going to take a break now. You hit show. Here's what's next on screen. You got some music playing, and it will just automatically switch to the next one as long as it's alive on screen. So that's really cool. I need to do more with it. This though, like Detroit Tiger 79, that's the YouTube integration. So I've got, you get a Google API key, and then you paste in the ID for the video, connect it, and now the chat for that YouTube live event will show up on screen. So you can just click any of these. It pulls the person's name, their picture, and the text of the comment. That's how I'm bringing your guys' comments onto screen, by just clicking on it like that. And I have it set. Let me get this off screen real quick. Make sure it doesn't show my API key. Okay, that's dotted out. That's good. Under options, I have it set for like, I want the author's name to be white. I want the message to be white background, but gray text. I want it to be here on the screen. I can move it up and down. I have it show on 30 seconds because that's where I can bring it up, read it out loud, and then start talking about that topic. And if I forget, it just goes away in 30 seconds. I can also have it show, so like Dwayne, I can have it show the full name or just the first name if I want to. So if I bring up Steve, now it's just going to say Steve instead of his last name too. I can also decide to turn off the profile image if I want, hide that, and then add it back on. And now it just says YT for YouTube. It doesn't show Steve's profile picture. But I kind of like showing all that. That's all public information, so hopefully you guys are okay with that. The other thing is you can have it show mentions. So you can say, hey guys, if you want to get my attention, like, you know, you got more than a few people watching, you can decide to put your name in here. So you can do like John Moore and say, hey guys, type my name in the description or in the chat so that I know that you're mentioning me. And then you go to mentions, and like the word John is right here. So I know that my name was mentioned in these comments. If you've got just like a crazy stream of comments, you could just highlight your mentions by putting your name into it. So I just have it say John like that. The final one is if you get a super chat. I've never gotten a super chat on YouTube. But if somebody, you know, spends money and like asks you a question with like $5 or whatever, that will show up under there. You can click on it, and it has like the price, you know. So for $9.99, this person asked this question. If you run like a really big YouTube channel and you want to show comments like that. The image overlay, this is where you can just put any picture you want, and then I haven't played with this very much, but it will show that image on screen as well. So if I grab a local image, like, I don't know, here's my BRB screen. There's that. So, okay, that came up. I think if I do another one, like this certain logo, I think now I can click on the different ones to show them. So like a little slideshow, I guess. I haven't really played with that yet. And then also what's new is you can have a scoreboard in H2R Graphics. So you can have like team 1, team 2, like that. And then now you've got this little scoreboard right here. So you can say like, oh, they scored 7 points. You can click it up like that, kind of change it, or you know, you can go straight to like 23 and hit enter. If you don't want to see click, 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 you know, because that's kind of not great. So then you could just do that. And again, you can change the theme color, you know, so if it's like the Kansas City Chiefs, you could make that red like that versus, you know, whatever other team if they're like blue. And you got the team different names right there. Maybe you want that on the bottom of the screen instead of the top. You could have it right there like that. Have it wipe on screen, fade on screen, all that cool stuff. And then again, if you want like for the Chiefs to be like red with yellow text, you would do that down here in the CSS if you want to really customize it. So that's how that works. Now, the way I've brought that into OBS is I take this chroma screen and I made it the size of the window to be 1080p. So I'm going to move that off my screen and I'm going to stretch it to be the right size, like that. Then in OBS, what I did is in studio mode, I did a window capture and I did H2R Graphics. So we'll just call this graphics again. And I selected H2R Graphics Chroma right there. So you see there's that, but I have the little title bar across the top right there in the way. So what I do is I hold down Option and I cropped that out. So that goes away. It's the right size now. And then now if let me press one of my buttons, my lower third, that comes on screen. What we got to do next is we got to go into the graphics, filter, chroma key. Now that's transparent. I bring this up, click on it again, there we go. And now there's my lower third animated on the screen and went away. So that's how I'm bringing those graphics in using a window capture in OBS. So yeah, that's that. What I'm doing then is I just take that window and I put it behind OBS so it's not in my way. It's not this big nasty green thing. You can see it reflecting off my hand. It's not that showing in my face. OBS just covers it up and it's the right size for what I need it to be. The way you would do this on the ATEM Mini is even easier. What you do with the ATEM is if you have enough outputs on your computer, bring up the ATEM software, you would take OBS or H2R Graphics, and what you would do is you would plug in your computer running H2R Graphics, you would plug that in to HDMI 4 on that. So if I click on this, it's just going to be black, but you would have input number 4 be your computer running H2R Graphics. You grab the chroma window, drag it onto that screen, and hit Command F or Control F to make it full screen. Then all you've got to do, you don't need any configuration. On your ATEM Mini, under the key button in the top corner, you just turn that on, turn that off. And if you turn it on, it will automatically default to use HDMI 4 with whatever source underneath it, and you'll get graphics on any one of your other 3 inputs. So you sacrifice one of your inputs for your graphics that way. The way I've set up my ATEM is I've got input number 1 is my camera, this camera right here. Input number 2 is my laptop. So that's another HDMI coming off of my laptop. What I did was I mirrored my screen, my laptop screen, to that input number 2, so that the same thing on my laptop shows on the ATEM, and that's how I know where I'm at. I know how to drive. Input number 3, I don't even have anything on there right now. That could be another camera angle. Input number 4 H2R Graphics. That is another HDMI input from my laptop to the ATEM. That is display number 3 in my display properties, and that has the green window on it full screen. So now I can just turn that key on and leave it. And now, as a webcam into Microsoft Teams without any OBS, without any virtual cameras, the actual webcam has the graphics from H2R Graphics overlaid on top of it in all of your meetings, all of your live events. You don't need anything other than H2R Graphics and the ATEM Mini to pull that off in any conferencing solution. So that is how that works. Do we have any questions from that? That was a lot of that was a lot of stuff to talk about all at once there. So let's move over here, and this is easy to connect these elements to Stream Deck. Yes, that's what I missed, Michael. So the final thing to show you is how do I make it so I can press these buttons to do my lower third or to do something like that. That's using OSC commands. So let me hide that, bring up H2R Graphics. On the home for H2R Graphics, you have documentation for how to use OSC commands. That's going to open up John's website, John Barker, and he says, okay, this has a local web server running on it. It's by default going to be your local host, port 8181. In the settings for H2R Graphics, you can change that OSC port if you want. If you want to have a different port, or you want to like go to it from your IP address rather than just localhost. Like if you've got this screen over here, but your control computer is from another computer, you can get to it by the IP address. And then here's all the commands to like hide all the messages. You're going to go /H2R Graphics /clear, H2R Graphics lower third, H2R Graphics lower third hide. What you do for this one, for like the lower third show, is you're going to send it which of the lower thirds do you want. So what you have to do if you want to run a Stream Deck, I have my Stream Deck right here, and I can click like this button right here, John LT. If I click that button, it comes on screen. The way I'm doing these OSC commands, there is an OSC command inside of Stream Deck. You can add an action called OSC command, but it doesn't do everything that H2R Graphics can do. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to install an app called Companion, and that basically blows the doors off of what you can do for the Stream Deck. It adds an insane amount of stuff. You can control every button on the ATEM Mini with a Stream Deck using those commands in Companion. You can control the Stream Deck, or you can control H2R Graphics using the buttons. You can control your lights. It integrates with your hue, integrates with your like basically anything that you can talk to over the network works with that Companion app. So I'm running that app up here in the top. I'm gonna go here. It's another little web server running on port 8000. I'm gonna launch that GUI. This is Companion. It's from BitFocus Companion. And basically I added a category called, it was here to record. So I added that as a connection. So that is a control instance that I can talk to. And when I added that, so where's my H2R Graphics edit? I said, this is on my local computer, port 8181. And it was like, okay, great. I am okay and connected. Then under my buttons, I'm able to add any button I want now. So if I want like that third guy, lower third, number 3, if I want to press him with a button, I could have this be like guest LT as the name of the button. For the key down action and key up action, so when I press the button down and when I let go of the button, I can have it do different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say, back over here on his graphics, I want it to be this command, lower third, number 3, because that's the third one on my list, right? If I go to lower thirds, number 3 is this guy, first name, last name. He's my guest. So in here, I'm just going to do H2R, and I'm going to show the lower third right here. And I want it to be number 3, like that. And then if my off action, I want that to be H2R Graphics, I want to do lower third hide. So show number 3, hide any of the lower thirds. And then you're going to do this latch toggle. That makes it an on-off switch, like that. And now that guest LT, if I go in here and hit test actions, let's see if it pops up. Test actions, there it is. It popped up on screen. To add that to my Stream Deck, because my Stream Deck, I've got all this other cool stuff on here. To add that to the Stream Deck, you go under more actions and you install this companion plugin. So that allows me under custom to add a button that is tied to companion. So I drop that in and I have it say like, okay, which button do you want that to be? And I want it to be button number, what was it? It's 1.7, so page 1, button number 7. So button number 7, like that. And I can do like number 1.7. It's connected, and now there's that guest LT. So if I press it, it toggled it off. If I press it again, the guy's name pops up on screen. If I press it, it will hide that name. Press it again, comes back up on screen. I could wait 5 seconds without touching anything, and the name goes away automatically. So that's how I'm doing those lower thirds. That's how I'm showing like a Yammer comment on screen that way. And then I've got a button here to just hide everything altogether. The one thing I can't do is toggle this chat. I do have to actually click the button like that to get the graphic to come up on screen. So there you go. That is that one, Michael. It's a lot, but basically you're going to have your Stream Deck, your Stream Deck, H2R Graphics, and Companion. Those 3 things allow you to do all of this. And then if you add a window capture for the chroma, you can get it into OBS. If you want it to be an actual webcam from the ATEM Mini, then just plug your laptop into HDMI number 4, run those 3 pieces of software, and now you can press the buttons to do that. Furthermore, under the screen, you also can tie it to your ATEM Mini, and you can have it toggle on any of the buttons that are in the ATEM. You can also record macros on your ATEM, and then you can fire those macros using Companion with a Stream Deck button. So you can be like, start show, and it will run the macro that presses like 85 buttons on your on your ATEM. And then in show, it presses a bunch of buttons, starts the music, fades in the music, all that stuff using a macro. It also talks to the Pearl. So I just got yesterday a Pearl 2 in from Epiphan to start playing with and testing. It can control the Pearl from Epiphan. It can control all kinds of crazy, amazing stuff. So hopefully that helps you out there and gives you guys a bunch of ideas for what you can do with graphics in your live streams. And you can do it in your meetings. You can do it in your Teams live events, Yammer live events, YouTube, like I just did today, all the YouTube stuff. It works everywhere that can receive some type of video signal. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get ready for my next meeting. I'm going to remember to go into the chat. I'll grab those links, put them in the description for you guys. And I hope that you are staying safe. I hope that you have a great holidays and get some rest, ready, recharged for next year. Thanks again for watching. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to see, just in like a informal live event like this, where we can just kind of talk about cool stuff and explore how to do things in a low pressure environment, so you don't have to do it in front of your CEO the first time. So thanks again for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
You give me and make a million too.